Welcome to Native Yoga Toddcast. So happy you are here. My goal with this channel is to bring inspirational speakers to the mic in the field of yoga, massage, bodywork, and beyond. Follow us at Native Yoga and check us out at nativeyogacenter.com. All right, let's begin. Welcome to Native Yoga Toddcast. Today I have the distinct pleasure of bringing Isabella Nitschke to the podcast. She lives in Sweden and her website is Ashtanga Yoga Malmo.se. The link is in the description below. Please go have a look and check out Isabella. She's also on Instagram and you'll find the links on her website. And go ahead and follow her. She's got some great posts and you can get a feeling for a nice tight-knit yoga community that's thriving in the south of Sweden. She offers retreats and she's just a really good, stable, solid yoga teacher. And it was a real pleasure to speak with her and I'm really excited for you to have a listen. All right, on that note, let's go ahead and begin. I'm so excited to have Isabella Nitschke here with me today. And Isabella, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. You're joining us from Sweden, am I correct?
Yes.
Are you born
from
in
Malmö?
Malmö, thank you. Are you born?
Yes.
Are you born and raised in Sweden?
No, I'm not. I'm from Germany.
Got it. How many?
And my mother is Swedish.
Nice. And your dad was German?
Yeah, he is German. And I came to Sweden when I was 6 because my parents got divorced. And then I kind of grew up here, went to school, and then I left when I was 18. And then I came back.
Where did you go when you were 18?
I went to study in France, in Reims. I went to, it's a city in Champagne. I went to study French at university and literature.
Wow.
And then after I kind of moved a bit back and forth and I started studying at university and then my studies took me abroad and then I ended up really not ever coming back until well, now it's 10 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
And at what point did you find Ashtanga Yoga?
That was a lot later. I think I had my first encounter with yoga when I lived in Amsterdam in 2002. I've always been a very active person. So I used to play basketball and go to the gym and things like that. And then I had some leg pain that I got. I was a spinning teacher in my spare time and I had been overdoing it a little bit. So I got some leg pain. And then I got introduced to hatha yoga, which I thought was really boring. Yeah, because it was so slow. And I was used to more pace and more breathing. And then, I ended up Googling or searching on the internet. I don't remember if there was Google yet in 2003. And I found David Swenson's DVD. And that's how I started. I bought it, I put it in the DVD player, and I did it to the best of my ability.
Isabella, that's so cool because right about that same exact time in 2003, that's how I practiced my first Ashtanga class as well, was opening up Yoga Journal magazine, seeing David Swenson's little ad in there, and me thinking I was in a different type of yoga, and I thought, what is this Ashtanga thing everyone's talking about? And I ordered his DVD and actually VHS, I'm thinking, right? It was VHS at the time, wasn't it?
No, I did. I got a DVD, I think.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I have a DVD. Yeah.
You're ahead of me. I don't know how. And that's amazing. That's so cool to hear. That's an interesting way to start, isn't it? What were your first thoughts when you put David's video on and you started, you were doing hatha yoga and then you started trying to do this thing called primary series. What were some of the first thoughts that you had?
Well, I really enjoyed the breathing. I really enjoyed that he's so pedagogical and so calm. Even when he's showing like his handstands and stuff, I didn't feel I didn't feel stupid at all, because of the way he was presenting things. And what I really thought, I remember thinking specifically that some of the things were really crazy, like sitting on your foot, like that Johnny D. I thought, my God, how is this possible? Why should you sit on your foot? I was a runner also, so my feet were very stiff. So that was very painful for me. And I have very open hips since always. So a lot of the lotus and all that stuff wasn't difficult. So I didn't think much about that.
Yeah.
But I was intrigued.
Yeah.
Definitely. And that's probably what kept me, and I got warm. There was a pace. And that's what kept me doing it, kept me coming back, and that I put it in the DVD player again the next week. I wouldn't do it every day. I would just do it when I felt like doing it, and then it became more and more often.
Yeah, that's really cool. When was the first time you were able to step into a room with a group of people with a teacher?
Ashtanga yoga?
Mm-hmm.
Or other yoga? Ashtanga yoga.
Ashtanga, yeah.
Probably 4 years later. Then I'd been doing it on my own 3 times a week with the DVD for 4 years.
Nice.
Because I lived in China at the time, where I got the DVD just before moving to China. And in China, there was no teachers. The only thing that was available was some Bikram yoga. Mm-hmm. And I went to a couple of classes, but it wasn't really, I enjoyed doing it before work on my own. And that was not an option with the Bikram yoga. So then I ended up just having to do it on my own. And it healed my injury that I had when I started. And then I started to feel the benefits of the practice, like mentally. So that's how I kept doing it. And then we moved back to Brussels, to Belgium, where I lived before moving to China. And then I had the opportunity to go to see a teacher there. But she went to Mysore straight after, so I didn't have much time with her. And then I didn't see my first real Mysore teacher until after I had the DVD for 5 years when I moved to London. Then I found a teacher, because in London there is a lot of teachers. And then I went in the Mysore room for the first time.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That was 2009. So I've been going with my DVD for 5 years.
What did the teacher think, having you come in saying, this is the first time I'm actually in a classroom? And then I'm thinking that you probably were pretty proficient with primary series by the time you entered into that studio. Were they surprised at how good you were, considering it was your first time?
No, the only thing I couldn't really do was headstand, because I was afraid. So I'd never ever stood on my head.
Yeah.
But after only a few weeks, she put me into intermediate series.
Wow.
And started teaching me up until Laghu Vajrasana, I think. Mm-hmm. And this was October 2009. I'd actually, before that, I'd been to a 1 week teacher course with David Swenson in London. So that's how I then got into the Mysore room, because I was really inspired by him coming, and I got to meet him finally. And then I started doing the Mysore practice. So she put me into intermediate straight away. And then my first thought was, wow, this is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
Because I've had some issues with depression, and for me, primary series is way too grounding, and I felt that it was weighing me down a lot. And when I got to start intermediate series, I just felt this uplifting, this stimulation. It was just amazing. It was like, wow. And then I was really stuck.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Would you agree that David has such an amazing personality and style of teaching? I find I love being around David. I think he's a pretty amazing teacher.
Yeah, he's wonderful. He's so humble, and he's funny, and he's very grounded. And yeah, I love him. I haven't seen him now for more than 10 years, but yeah, he's amazing.
I
Yeah.
hear you. I hear you. Are you?
I'm very grateful for him putting that DVD out there at the time, and also doing that training with him at the time that I had moved to London was very useful for me.
I know. I always find the element of how when he did that was so cutting edge at the time. Because you're right, when you make mention about doing a computer search in 2003, it's hard to really remember the dial-up situation and then how limited that was in the actual amount of information that we could get in relation to nowadays with social media, YouTube, and the likes. It's like we have more than we could ever imagine in front of us. But I remember David mentioning how he got into a little bit of like trouble for releasing all of that information out there into the public. And now looking back, that just seems like it's no big deal at all. But I think I agree with you when you say I'm so thankful that he put that stuff, how he put his DVDs and his books and his teaching materials to make it accessible for those of us that didn't have access to teachers. It's interesting to me that it was so cutting edge. That was a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, also there were so few teachers around back then. It was like, if you weren't in a big hub like London, or there was hardly anyone, and now there are so many everywhere.
True.
It's really been like a big change.
So Isabella, do you own a yoga studio?
I run a yoga studio, yes.
Nice.
It's a bit, it's called Ashtanga Yoga Malmo, but I don't own it in the way that I don't own the space, and I don't rent the space. I have a partnership with in Sweden we have this further education for adults, and there are many kind of non-profit organizations that run this type of state-sponsored training, and it's everything from photography, literature, languages, dance, and yoga.
Wonderful.
So they have a studio close to where I live, and we have a partnership in that way that I run a few courses within their type of setting, and then I have my mysore program within their premises.
Nice.
So in that way, we have a partnership.
That sounds appealing to me. It sounds a little less stressful than holding a 5-year lease and having the commitment to, pay rent. Is it as good as it sounds, or are there any are there any downsides?
Yeah, there are downsides. There are downsides. Of course there are.
Of course there are. Good point. Point.
Yeah.
But that sounds cool. What you don't have to tell me a downside, but what is a pressure point for you in that setting?
Well, the thing is, if you're in a partnership and it's like the studio is shared, you will have to share like the space with people who might not always take care of the premises in the way that you would like.
Yeah.
Which causes frustration sometimes. And the other thing is, that when you share with someone, you can't do entirely what you want.
Yeah.
I can't leave my stuff everywhere, and I can't really design it the way I would want to, and it's maybe not as clean as I would like it to be. But in terms of you not being, responsible for a lease and having that economic burden of everything. In Sweden, it's also very strict with all the insurances and all the side costs that are not included in the rent. So it would be, for me, since I'm alone, it would be impossible to hold a studio and pay all those costs and also pay for my own apartment, for example. Yes. I wouldn't be able to afford both.
Yes.
So then I would have to live in the studio if I had my own, but that's not allowed in Sweden. You can't live in your business. So this is a really good solution. It was a really good solution during COVID, when we obviously had less students coming and then less income, which means that, for other studios, maybe they had to close down because they couldn't get enough people or enough income to cover the rent for the studio. But
Yes.
because we had the partnership that was we were open throughout COVID physically, and I didn't lose that much money.
Wonderful. That
Yeah.
does sound like a good type of situation to be in through the economic challenge of those years. Was Sweden more open than other countries around the world?
Yeah, we were. We didn't go into lockdown, but we did have a lot of restrictions with how many people were allowed in a space at the same time. We have a big studio. It's like the shala itself. The space where we practice is 120 square meters, and for each 10 square meter, you would be allowed one person, which means in this huge space where you could fit 40 people or 35 people, you would be allowed to have 12 people maximum at the same time. So,
yes.
Obviously, with a mysore program or mysore class, you'll have rotation, so people come and go all the time. But still, obviously, it's limiting.
Yes.
But yeah, so we had restrictions in place, but I think we were a lot freer than many other countries in the world.
Yes.
I think that's good also because in Sweden, the majority of people live alone. Like they're the most single households in the world, I think, in Sweden.
Oh, wow.
And so if we would have gone into lockdown, I think people would have gotten really, really depressed. Also with the darkness here in the winter, it would have probably been devastating from that aspect. And I think the government thought of that when they decided to not go into lockdown. They thought about the consequences that would come further on, like for people's mental health.
Wow.
And so on, if they did go towards lockdown.
That's so interesting. I didn't realize that statistic, or that there's a lot of people that are living alone. So that's seems wise on the behalf of the governing bodies to actually weigh that.
Yeah.
I've never lived somewhere where the sun doesn't come up for many hours of the day. We're in winter right now. How many hours of sunlight do you have where you are in Sweden?
In Sweden, I'm in the south. So if do you know where Denmark and Copenhagen is?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a bridge between Copenhagen and Malmö. So we're just across. So we're very much in the south of Sweden, which means it's not that dark. The sun does go up, but it's often very cloudy, so we still don't see the sun. I would say maybe for 6 hours a day, from 9 in the morning to 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
We would have like daylight, but then then it's dark.
Yes.
It's shifting now though, so it's going in the right direction. So we're after the 22nd of December, we're always very hopeful. It goes in the right direction.
Right. Things are getting better from here.
Yeah, getting better, getting lighter.
Things are getting
brighter.
Yay. What have your thoughts been? We just celebrated, New Year 2023. I know it's just an arbitrary, number, and it's just another day. I totally understand that. But do you feel optimistic about this year? What are your feelings and thoughts in relation to just everything we've been through in the last few years and where things are headed currently?
Yeah, I'm very optimistic. I think what I've seen in the past 6 months at least is the shala becoming more alive again. We are able to take in guest teachers and do events that we were not allowed to do during COVID because of the restrictions of people in a room. Yeah. And not being able to touch each other and so on.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm very optimistic in terms of that the shala is coming more and more alive again, and we're coming back to what it was like in 2018 and almost throughout 2019 also.
Yes.
So that's nice. And people are also visiting from abroad, which was also restricted, obviously, before. So we have more international students also coming by. And yeah, it's lovely. We have quite a few things lined up. Not only the retreat we were talking about before we started recording. So
Yes.
I have a retreat in 1 week in Tenerife. And then after that, we have several guest teachers coming up. I think the program is full already until October.
Nice. Congratulations. Yeah. That does feel
Thank
good,
you.
doesn't it? I know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of work because I'm doing it all on my own. So it's a lot of work. I'm teaching and I'm doing all the bookkeeping and all the everything, the website, the social media, everything on my own. But yeah, it's awesome. Then it's nice when you can, when you see the results and things can happen and you really, you can invite people to come, then that's nice.
I agree. And on that note, you do a wonderful job on your social media. That's how I found you, as via the, a hashtag Ashtanga link on Instagram. And I really enjoy reading your posts and think you do a great job. So well done. To manage all of those things is challenging. Is this your full-time profession?
Yeah, it has been since 2009.
Nice.
But I haven't had the studio longer than, or we've run Ashtanga Yoga Malmo since 2013. So this year is actually 10-year anniversary.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah.
10 years, right?
So
to
10
make
years.
to make it 10 years as a professional yoga instructor is a big deal. Do you ever sometimes think like, my wife and I run our studio here in Florida, and I have a partner to share the workload with. I like the fact that you mentioned that in relation to owning a studio, you had said like the way the partnership does really work well for you is in terms of the fact that you are doing it alone. It's so much work as it is that you wonder if it would be possible if you didn't have a support system. And I have to give a lot of credit to my wife in the sense that I wouldn't be able to do this if I did not have a support system. Like, it does take so much work continuously. Do you have people helping you? It sounds like I know you're managing everything, but do you have other teachers that are helping you either in the mysore room or hold down leg classes, or is it solely you?
Now I have a few teachers doing some evening classes. So we offer yin yoga as well. I have a long-term student of mine who is now teaching yin yoga and meditation. And then I have another student that is also my assistant. She teaches like half-led mysore in the evening, and also covers for me if I'm not there.
Yes.
And so, yeah, there are a couple of teachers, and they are not paid by me. They're paid by the evening school that we're in partnership with, because I'm self-employed, so I can't have any employees. But so the way it is that they teach these classes as courses within the partnership that we have with this evening school, and they still run under our name.
That's cool.
And their name. So it's a win-win situation. They get money, we get money, and they do some of the marketing, and we do some of the marketing, and then we kind of benefit from it both. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that's the way that we can have classes both evening and morning. Before, up until 2018, I did it all by myself. So I was teaching 6 mornings and 4 evenings a week.
Yes.
And we had the shala in 2 cities. So we had 2 separate studios. So I had to go back and forth every day and teach either morning or evening in one place. And then I taught a lot for free, because that was the only way to get it up and running, to get enough people to come. So I was teaching the evening classes, all of them for free, so that we would, provide something so that we would get more people in, basically. But there wasn't enough money coming in for me to get paid for everything.
Yeah.
But then when we got enough people, I was able to then hand over the classes to I didn't want other people to to teach for free. So that's why I was doing it. And then when we got enough people and could pay for the evening classes, then I gave the classes to other people. So that's how we started, basically. And we started with evening mysore classes because people were not used to doing it in the morning. And then we offered self-practice in the morning. And it used to be only me and one other person. And then we slowly throughout the years shifted. And now hardly anyone wants to come in the evening anymore. So that's why we have more like a course base. The ones that we have in the evenings are like courses more. That people then have to sign up for 8 weeks, and then they, so then it's more, then it's easier to get people to come in the evening.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have so many questions for you. One, so you're running everything, and if an aspiring or a budding yoga teacher is listening to us, I think it's important that we're honest about the challenges of taking on the role of holding down a program and how full-time it is and continuous the workload is. What are like what's the thing you like to do the least, and then what's the thing that you get the most joy out of in the experience of holding down a program the way you are?
Well, the thing I like to do the least is to get up at 10 and get up in the morning when the alarm goes off. You could hear me swear like every morning I wake up. It's like the first word that I say out loud is a swear word.
Well, what time is your alarm? What time is your alarm going off at?
I don't practice before teaching anymore. I used to do that for a few years. Like when was that? Like 2015, 16, 17. I got up before teaching.
Yeah.
But I don't do that anymore. It's not good for my health. Yeah. So I practice after teaching. I aged a lot when I practiced at 3 a.m. I just could see how face was dropping and it was horrible. So I just decided, no, it's not good for my health. So I'm a bit vain as well. So I admit that.
Well, Isabella, I'm with you. I'm on the same page. So you're in good company here. But I'm curious, so what time do your classes start at then? What time do you need to be at the studio?
So I get up at 10 to 5. I have to be at the school opening at 6. Yeah. And then I teach until just before 9. And then I do my practice. And people can come and practice at the same time. So I've got the studios open for self-practice. So if people like work late or for whatever reason can't make it for class, they can come after and practice at the same time as I do. Yeah. And that's then 5 days a week. And on the Sunday, we still teach on Sundays, not Saturdays. It's the Mysore program is at 9. So then I go up and practice before teaching on Sundays.
Yeah.
And then I teach in the evenings as well. I teach a beginner's course on Monday evenings. So, and then I work also with yoga for mental health and stress reduction. So I teach a course in that as well. And that's also evening based, or it's going to be evening based in the springtime.
What is
it's quite a full on.
That's a full on schedule for sure. And also like if you're waking up at 10 minutes to 5, to be there to teach at 6, to practice beforehand, you were getting up at 3 a.m. maybe?
I would have to get up at 3 if I had practiced before. Yeah. And that was just insane.
Yeah, I know. And it sounds like you were able to give it like a good 3 to 4 year push. And I used to do the same. I'd get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock, come in, practice, then start teaching. And I was able to maintain it for a little while. And then I just was like, oh my God, I don't think I can. I'm not happy.
No.
Yeah, that's so hard.
I felt like I was being jet lagged all the time.
Constant
just awful. And then, it messes with your blood sugar, your appetite, and hormones. And it's just not worth it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, your most favorite thing about running a program, like what brings you the most joy? I know there's a lot of things, but what's something that you just really get a kick out of?
I don't know. It's there, as you say, there are so many things. I can just take one thing from this morning. We've had about 7 pregnancies during COVID, and all of them have. I think all of them have practiced to some extent during the pregnancy. And so this morning, one of the newest babies came into the shala and lay on the ground on a blanket practicing, or whilst his mother was practicing next to him. And then it's so nice to just see first you see the whole belly growing, and then you don't know who's inside, and then you have a quite close relationship to the mother. And then today, so the mother came in, and then the baby was out, and so he was lying there, and it's just this, I don't know, it's the community. It's just how close you get to people, and the sharing, and just this energy that people have around them. It's just wonderful.
Great answer. I would agree with that. That's a good one.
Just to see how people develop, like here you see the pregnancy developing, there's a new person coming out, and but just as well with the other people, I have people practicing. The oldest one is 78 and a half years old, and the youngest one is maybe just still teenager. That's the range of the practitioners coming to the shala age-wise, and it's just amazing to see this diversity. And all these different personalities and bodies, and how they develop as people, or everything.
That's so cool. You have a practitioner who you said is 78. Did I hear you right?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Can you?
It's my mom.
It's your mom. That's so awesome. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's so stubborn.
She's so stubborn. I won't get all emotional or anything, but my mom used to practice here every single day, my mom and dad together. And she passed last year, almost a year ago now. And she made
I'm very sorry.
Thank you. And she made it to 76. And I was thinking today about how one of the greatest gifts I think I've been given from being able to teach and work with my mom is she had Alzheimer's. And I was able to, I started working privately with her, and the experience of learning how to work with someone who's going through memory dysfunction was just such an incredible learning opportunity for me that I'm really thankful for. But when I heard you say 78, I'm like, whoa, she was close to my mom's age. So for when you say it's my mom, I'm like, oh, that's so amazing, Isabella. You have that's a really special opportunity. And I love that you followed it up with she's so stubborn, because it's don't you agree that it's really hard to be your mom's yoga teacher?
Yes.
It is.
And it's very hard to have your mom in the office every day. Imagine having well, you know how it is. But people say, oh, it must be lovely to have your mom
it's
there.
So wonderful.
Like, imagine having your mom at your workplace every day. No, but it's lovely. And to just, also in the past 2 years, it's been very tough because she actually got cancer. So she has practiced through her cancer, and she survived it.
Wow.
And we still don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But so far, touch wood, she had ovarian cancer.
Yes.
So she's been through major surgery and chemo and everything. And had some bad luck also with some infections along the way, and had to do another major operation because of that. And but yet she's since the summer she's back on the mat every day, and she was practicing at home as soon as she was out of bed and could walk. She was on her mat. Even in hospital when she was unconscious, she was having her legs in the air like this, and the doctors were saying, what's she doing? She's doing yoga. We've never seen a 76. She was 76 at the time. 6-year-old, this mobile, and probably that's what saved her. That she was so strong to begin with. But she went from doing handstand and pincha to walking with one of these, what are they called? And I don't know what they're called in English when you have this for elderly people, what they walk with,
like a walker or a
yeah.
What is something? So, I mean, I'm guessing that because you're having this experience that you're learning a whole bunch of different ways to teach people how to modify. I'm also guessing that if you had David Swinson as one of your first teachers, that you're an Ashtanga teacher that's open to finding any which way possible for people to be able to practice. Am I correct?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not, I use props.
Yes.
I admit I use props.
Yeah.
I went to, some of my first teachers also were Rolf and Marcy in Goa.
Yeah.
I didn't go to Mysore straight away. I went to Rolf and Marcy, and I learned so much from them.
Yes. I practice.
And then I've been to Richard and Mary also in Boulder, Colorado, and I also learned so much from them.
Nice. My wife and I studied with Rolf and Marcy in Goa and in Koh Phangan in Thailand. And Rolf was my first official Ashtanga yoga practice situation, which just totally blew my mind. Completely blew my mind.
He's such a wonderful person. He's like a saint.
Oh my gosh, Rolf is like,
I love him.
Right? We could probably gush for the next like 40 minutes about how freaking awesome Rolf is. I know. For when Tamara and I were on our way to India to practice in Mysore in 2004, but before that we were in Thailand, and I met a person in northern Thailand. He's like, I wouldn't even go to India. He's like, there's this guy named Rolf that's teaching down in Koh Phangan. You should go and study with him. And so we were really intrigued. And I went on Rolf's website and it said no beginners. And I was like, and we were totally beginners. Like we had no idea. We didn't know the sequence or anything. And I wrote Rolf and I'm like, Rolf, I promise I'll be a good student, like, would it be okay if we come? And he's like, yes, okay. It's okay if you come. And the first day we kind of went up this hill, like people are like, okay, take a right at the rock and take a left at the tree that has like the red ribbon tied around it. And we kind of made our way up the hill and we peeked our head up. We had to climb up these steps and peeked our head in, and everybody was like doing like second, third, and fourth series. So you see all these really radical asana situation. And I looked at Tamara and we both looked at each other like, we got it. We should go, right? Like, let's run, like, and we're like, no, we made it this far. We have to go in there. And I mean, and Rolf's energy is just like, how can you explain it? Can you explain it? Can you explain what you feel when you practice with Rolf? And Marcy's wonderful as well. So I don't want to just single out Rolf, but
I don't know. I'm just laughing because I had a similar experience, because when I went to India to see Rolf and Marcy, that was end of 2009. I had just been, I just met David a few months before in London, and I had just started this Mysore practice in London. So I didn't know very much, I'd just been with my DVD. There was no, I didn't know that there was something called drop bags. I didn't know that there was all this pressure to do all these things, that you had to bind and, and then I arrived, I was very inspired by the Mysore room in London and all the practitioners that were there. But still, when I arrived in Goa, and they were in a hotel this winter where you had to like walk up the stairs, and you sat in the stairs, and then as you were waiting, you were moving up the stairs. And I was at the top then after a while, and I looked into the room, and there's all these. Sharad had just had a retreat at Purple Valley. That was the year that Pattabhi Joyce died. So Sharad had a small retreat at Purple Valley. It had just ended. And all the people, not all, but many of the people that had been there had gone to Rolf afterwards. So there were all these senior practitioners, and there was like people standing up with their leg behind their head. They were sweating. It was hot. Everyone was steaming and doing dropbacks and TikToks, and Marcy was running around. And I was just like, oh, my jaw dropped. And I saw this guy, I remember John Michael Doyle. He's I think he's on the West Coast. He used to be at Yoga Works with Mati Izrasi. And he's standing there, and Marcy is helping him in Durvasasana. I'm like, wow, I want to do that. And that was like, I had never seen anything like it. And I was like, wow, that's what I want to do. And I still remember that moment. It was just so, I was not intimidated. I was just like, wow, this is so amazing. I want to do this.
Oh yeah.
And the energy, as you said in the room, was with Rolf. I don't know. Rolf is German, so I speak German to him, and so the I don't know if that changes the relationship at all, but somehow it just felt like, somehow felt a lot closer because I was speaking his native language, and it made him very happy. And I don't know. It's just so I can't really describe the energy.
I know.
He's so warm,
and
so kind. I don't think I've ever met anyone so kind, like so genuinely soft person.
Oh man, good memories. Great memories.
I really, really want to go back, but it hasn't been possible since I was there the last time in 2011-12, and I haven't been able to go back after that, unfortunately.
My daughter's 9, so we were there before she was born. It's 2022, so I guess that's 2011. Does that sound right? Yeah, 2012. So that was the last time I had seen Rolf, and Marcy was there. And the first time I got a chance to meet Marcy, and what I thought was so amazing is like Marcy brought in this incredible Iyengar alignment, understanding. And I'll never forget doing Kapotasana and having Rolf and Marcy tag team on me. And oh my gosh, like, I don't know if I want to go back. No, I'm joking. Like, but going so deep, like, I don't think I've ever gone that deep before. But I do feel like
Marcy is very disciplined also. So she will not, let you get away with stuff.
Yeah. Everyday practice was like, get ready, here we go. So I'm curious, where are you now, Isabella, with your practice in terms of your own personal practice? Like, what kind of relationship experience are you having with it these days?
I still have a daily practice. I practice 6 days a week. I still enjoy it a lot. I hear a lot of people talking about like that age is making them, having to remove postures or that they're getting pain. For me, I've never been as strong as I'm now. I wasn't that strong when I was 20. I was much weaker, less, even though I was into, fitness and spinning and running and kickboxing, I wasn't as strong and as I am now. So I feel that I don't feel that I have, I'm still learning stuff. So I'm not thinking that I don't feel the need to do less.
Yeah.
It doesn't drain me. It gives me energy. And I don't feel, and I don't think I've ever, maybe in the beginning a little bit, I felt some pain, like when I just started doing back bends, but that's because I was in a really bad place and my body wasn't healthy. But now I don't have pain. I mean, of course I get sore muscles, but I would never do anything that would cause me pain, and I don't get pain from the practice.
Nice.
So yeah, I enjoy it. I still think it's, I learned so much about exploring and the differences from day to day, but also like trying to figure out things so that I can understand my students better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Great answer. I'm so happy to hear that. That's amazing. You made mention, so I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, but if you made mention that you had struggled with mental health in the past and that Ashtanga Yoga really helped you to turn a corner and or manage it, and or, like you said, you're enjoying yoga and you're feeling good and you're feeling good in your body. If somebody is listening to this podcast that is going through maybe the dark night of the soul or having a really difficult time now, is there any advice you can share and or personal experience that could help someone or maybe give some advice?
Well, I think that every journey is individual. So what worked for me might not work for someone else. I think that's important to say. And what I can say is that as a also yoga practitioner for mental health, I would never advise a student to just do yoga and drop everything. Yoga can be a really good complement to other traditional medicine or therapy, but it should not you should not exclude other things. I think it's important to approach your health, mental or physical, in a holistic way. For me, the kind of regularity of coming to the mat, like doing it every day or every second day, as I did in the beginning, was creating a routine that kept me sane. So having this routine to get on the mat and to just listen inwards, I think is important, or it was important for me. And then just, I don't know, it's very easy, at least for some people, that when you're depressed or when you're not feeling well, or if you have a lot of anxiety, or both, that you become very ungrounded. You're not in your body anymore. You're somewhere else, up in your thoughts or in those feelings that you can't handle. And so the process of doing the physical postures and the breathing brings you back to the body, to here and now, which might be hard because that's what you're trying to escape. But at the same time, with this kind of learning with the breath, also to, if you're in a high anxiety state, to calm yourself down. With practice, if you stick to it, and if you have a teacher that can create a safe space for you, or as I did a lot in the beginning, I was in my home, but it was a safe environment for me, then you can learn the tools to help yourself, to self-regulate. And so very simple breath body movements. It doesn't have to be Ashtanga yoga for that's not suitable for everyone. If you are very traumatized and you suffer from PTSD or high anxiety, maybe Ashtanga yoga is way too powerful to start with, and it might be way too powerful to start with the breath. Maybe actually just moving and feeling the ground beneath you is something that is enough.
Nice.
So
yeah,
it's difficult to say because everyone is so individual. And what if we talk about trauma, for example? Trauma is so individual. Something that might traumatize me might not traumatize you. So that's why it's very difficult to say, and also how we react, because we react very differently. Some people go into high anxiety, some people go into freeze when they are faced with things that are overwhelming. So I would say giving general advice it's a little bit difficult.
Yeah, good point. I understand that. When the course that you're teaching in the evenings, you said has an emphasis on mental health. Is that correct? Did I hear you right?
Yeah. It's called Yoga for Stress Reduction.
Yes. Do you utilize Ashtanga yoga in those classes, or do you do more simple exercises like you made mention of, like simple movement and breathing exercises?
I don't teach a Ashtanga-based class. It's called trauma-sensitive yoga.
Mm-hmm.
It's a special system where you work with kind of more invitational language, so that you give options to people that if you want to, you can join me doing this, or you could do that, or you could just stay and so that people can feel more empowered to take charge themselves.
Yes.
Because if you have been through something difficult, very often you might feel that you've lost control. And so learning that you are in control again of your body, of your breath, of your situation, whether it's doing an asana or whether it's outside in life, that's important. And then also not forcing people or commanding people to do something because you want to create a safe space, right? Yeah. So, and then the course it's a lot based on raising the heart rate and then lowering the heart rate, raising the heart rate and lowering the heart rate. So because what happens often when you get highly stressed or you burn out, your nervous system will be out of sync. It will be out of balance. So we need to train it to come back into balance, so that the heart rate variability. You've certainly heard of that you strengthen your HRV, and so that you become more stress resilient again. But you have to train that and practice raising the limit. So we do something maybe that is raising the heart rate mildly and then lower it back down. And I say mildly because for people who have experienced a high anxiety, just a raising of the heart rate might be experienced as the beginning of a panic attack, for example. Yeah. So we need to just learn that this is not dangerous. You can raise your heart rate and then we come back and we lower it. And so that we kind of extend it's like a rubber band, basically, like extending the resilience. And also the comfort zone where you are comfortable, like with your heart rate going up, and then so it's like this constant practice of going up a little bit, lowering a little bit, up and lowering. So that's a lot how we work.
That's interesting. Yeah. I appreciate the details there. How or what is the intersection of your awareness and understanding of trauma-based or trauma-informed yoga teaching and your Ashtanga yoga teaching? Have you found that
I'll continue the question.
I guess I like the fact that you've differentiated what a room can feel like in relation to perhaps an Ashtanga room where it's a very, I don't want to say command driven, but it's very focused and there's an intensity to it. And most people that are going because they like that level of intensity and it works really well for them. And it sounds like the way you describe the trauma-informed class is you're really aware of the heart rate and that you're consciously kind of working off that rhythm, which is pretty amazing. I was just curious if when you're teaching Ashtanga, if there's something that you've picked up from the trauma-informed world that you'll find trying to bring into understanding or awareness for one of the students that you're working with in the Ashtanga room.
Well, in the trauma awareness class, I would not touch anybody. And so in the mysore room, I always ask for permission.
Yeah.
Do you want my help? Can I touch you? Would you like my help today? How are you? Always also when people come in, check, it's not a huge Mysore program. So I know everybody and I know them well enough that I can say to them, you need to tell me when you don't want me to touch you. And I'm not going to be offended by that.
Yeah.
And so we have quite an open relationship. I also have practice cards where people can choose if they don't want to talk to me, they can choose a green, a red, or a yellow card and put it by their mat. And then I know most people don't use them because they prefer to talk to me.
Yeah.
But definitely the touch and the strong adjustments. I also have backed off quite a lot from doing strong adjustments. I feel that people benefit much more from actually exploring and doing themselves rather than me putting them into posture.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I won't do anything. I won't help anyone in dropbacks, for example, before they have explored like strengthening the legs, and so that when we do it together, we both work and that I'm not doing all the work, and that they're just throwing themselves to the floor, for example. But the touching, and then I think often about how I say things, because it's very easy to just like give a vocal instruction, and it can sound like, especially with me, I'm quite direct, and I'm not like bullshitting, so I could just say something very like that abruptly, and not very diplomatic way. And so I've started to think more before I say something, and how I present things, for sure.
Yes. I agree. Has that been a nice learning experience for you over the years? That's one of my favorite things about teaching, is the finesse that I feel like is just improving over time in relation to like really paying attention to like what words we choose, when to touch, not to touch. How has the experience of COVID been like, okay, now I just can't even touch at all? Has that?
Yeah, that was horrible. It was horrible in the way that I felt really isolated.
Yeah.
Like you were so close, but you were still so far away. And human contact is so important.
Really
I mean,
is.
the touch and feeling the other person breathe.
Yeah.
And just, it's so important. But it was useful in terms of people had to get used to vocal adjustments and vocal instructions. And already when I started my teaching journey, I was with a teacher who is not an Ashtanga Yoga teacher. Mm-hmm. His name is Godfrey Devereaux. He teaches a style called dynamic yoga. It's a very somatic type of yoga, where you are given very specific vocal instructions to sense different parts of your body, very sensory kind of experience. And so already then I was taught to like really feel and then learn how to give instructions in that way, to myself and to others. And so that really came to use during COVID, for sure.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah.
Oh man.
There are probably other things as well that I can't really think of at the moment when it comes to trauma sensitive yoga and the things that I have adapted in the Mysore class. Obviously, there are many more, especially also with the kind of what has happened within the Ashtanga community in the past few years, in terms of adjustments and the whole sensitivity around that.
Yes. Understood. I found that there was a time where I was coming in and practicing, and we were all in the room together practicing, and it was like, let's just keep the space going, and everybody, let's just go ahead and practice together, and we'll, maintain our space and just kind of feel out what's going on. And, because what I found was super challenging is, even if I didn't have reservations about touching someone, it was really interesting how they felt. And if I like maybe was, thinking like maybe they do want an assist, and then the energy of if I thought, okay, well, maybe this would be okay because I see this person every day, so I'm going to go over and do it. But then somebody else that was in the room that wasn't okay with it, like the energy dynamic of that a rule was being broken, and then they didn't feel safe now that two people had made close contact, was so fascinating to me. So then I was like, okay, we're not doing this for a little while. And then I had somebody say, I'm really missing it. And I did find that it was a really interesting learning experience for me to completely kind of take that whole component out of the practice, which I actually feel better for now. I don't want to go through it again. I definitely don't want anything like that to ever happen again. That's for sure. But I do feel like I learned some things.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And I think maybe it improved also our communication our ways of communicating, because we had to communicate in other ways. Also, teaching over Zoom, for example. I did have students over Zoom at the same time as people in the room during COVID, and giving instructions. It just, I think it in a good way, it forced us to reflect on what we're doing.
Yeah.
And how can we do it differently, and how can we make it even richer?
Yes.
And also the opportunity then for the students, which I think should be there anyway, even if you give physical adjustments, there should be this, that it's the students' practice. An adjustment should be, always question, why am I doing this? Why is this for the benefit of the student? And also, that the main thing is that they are exploring and doing, and then I'm just helping. I'm not, doing it for them.
Yeah. Good point. That's a big one for sure.
I'm just a resource. I'm just a guide. I'm not like, I'm not a magician.
Yes. Well, you can't read minds yet, Isabella? You're not able?
No.
No.
Not yet. Not yet.
It's coming. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
And definitely, well, you might be able to read your mom's mind, but that's just because you've been with her for so long. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
Probably because I'm just as stubborn as she is. So probably it runs in the family.
It runs in the blood. Yeah. Well, Isabella, I'm so excited that we managed to pull this off. It's been a little bit of
I'm really happy. I've enjoyed it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I know it's late over there on your time, so I want to be respectful of your time and not hold you long. But it's bedtime. It's bedtime. So is there anything else that you would like to share, add, and or say as a conclusion?
Oh gosh, you're putting me on the spot there. No, I was just so involved in the conversation. I don't really know.
You don't have
you
to
have another question?
Another question? Yes. Oh, come on, question. Pop into my... Now I'm on the spot. No, I'm kidding. One thing I wanted to ask you earlier, which is completely off subject, I guess, but that I've always admired about Europeans is your ability to learn multiple language so effortlessly. And you mentioned, obviously we're speaking in English, and then you mentioned German, and now I'm gathering you speak Swedish, of course. Are there any other languages in there?
I do speak French.
That's right.
Because
you said
I did
France.
Study and live in France.
I thought that too. I was like, oh my gosh, she probably speaks French as well. That's amazing.
And I did speak Chinese before.
Yeah, that's right. Because you said China. I totally wanted to go down that whole road, but I figured that might take us far off the yoga subject. But
well, yeah, we would go. But that was my previous life.
Okay,
that was my previous
that was
career.
A whole. Okay, gotcha. And so
whole different life.
Which language in China? Because I know there's a lot. So which one were you studying?
Well, Mandarin. I learned Mandarin, but then I haven't spoken like professionally since 2009 when I left that way of living and became a yoga teacher.
And you could speak professionally in Mandarin?
I could speak I would say I was able to speak in social situations.
Yeah.
So I would manage. I lived in China. I would manage in social situations. I had Chinese friends, and I could hold a conversation. I could read some things, but I didn't know enough characters to read a whole newspaper. But I could. I was quite good, I have to say. And then I didn't in my profession. We always used interpreters because you have to. I was working for the European Commission in their embassy in Beijing.
Wow.
And I was working with political and issues like human rights. So we always had to have interpreters because you wouldn't have a professional meeting without. So yeah. No,
Well,
I wouldn't say that I didn't use it in my job in that way because
yeah.
we were not allowed.
All right. Well, you said you're not a magician, but I think you are if you speak that many languages. Like I don't even see, I just, that just is amazing to me. And I know now this is going down a whole nother subject. So the whole idea of us trying to like conclude, but in, I never want to go near politics. I don't even want to go there. But in America, we have like this like fear of China kind of like rhetoric. And you've had a chance to live there, and I always want to promote or I'm always looking for humanity, and like in terms of like a global community, I see people, and I think we're all just trying to do the best we can, and that we probably have a lot more in common than we have out of common. So I guess maybe in conclusion, can you share a little bit about what you've learned by being a global citizen and learning all these languages and traveling all over the world and having all these experiences? What do you see as a bright future for the planet?
Well, I think what you're saying is that not only by living in different cultures and learning languages and meeting people, but also I think with the yoga experience and the yoga philosophy, I think it's just, at least it has helped me to see like beyond all the surface in terms that we are, as you said, we're all just human beings. We have the same needs. We have, we all need to be loved. We all need something useful to do. We all need a roof over our head. We all need a hug. And so we have the same needs, and nobody is inherently evil. We're all just like actually small, vulnerable beings. And if we would all see that, I think we would treat each other very differently, and not like if somebody behaves badly, we would not lash out at that person or become irritated, because we would understand that this person is just same as I, has the same needs. And I wish more people would think like that, especially in terms of when it comes to in Sweden there is a lot of racism and anti-immigrant how to say
propaganda.
People are not very positive towards people who have either come here as refugees or as immigrants, and I don't know. I think if we would just think a little bit further, what has this person been through? I think often we are very protected here. We have, everything. We have a roof over our head. We have food on the table. We have, we are not cold in the winter, even if it's freezing outside. We're so spoiled. And people are shopping. They say, oh, we don't have any money. And then, on the weekend, they come home with all these bags of shopping. I just think, I would just hope that people would, maybe reflect a little bit.
Yeah.
And see how we are all just the same. And then, as I said, we might treat each other a little bit better. We might understand each other a little bit better, even if we are from different cultures and religions and what have you, and languages. Still, we have so much common ground. Yeah.
Well, that's a beautiful closing message.
Maybe I'm being naive. I don't know.
Maybe.
I always wanted to save the world when I was younger. And then I realized it was not possible.
I know. I don't want to lose that either, Isabella. I don't want to lose that optimism.
No.
Yeah.
And always, try to treat someone else as you want to be treated yourself. I know it's a cliche, and I know it's super difficult, especially when, you react to someone, and obviously we do, because we can't be that, distance all the time, that we have time to reflect before we react. And so we're going to be triggered by certain things. But I wish we could just treat everybody else as we want to be treated ourselves most of the time.
Yes.
Mm.
Oh man. Well, thank you, Isabella. That's perfect.
Well, thank you, and thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. I mean, I've already been thinking in my mind a few times, like, I hope I get a chance to travel to Sweden, and definitely if I make it that far over, I want to come see you in South Sweden.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, definitely.
Yay.
That'll be fun.
I know.
I was thinking of going to Miami. Tim invited me to come and visit at the new Miami, the garage they have, Kino and Tim.
Yeah.
Because, Tim is coming here. He's visited our shala before, and he's coming again. We've got a planned visit.
Oh, Tim is so amazing.
So we assisted
Sharad
together in Mysore, and because he's from Copenhagen and Denmark, I've bumped into him a few times when Sharad has been visiting here, and so we were talking about me coming to visit, but and then COVID bounced back. It didn't happen, and then Well,
if you do, you can come visit Miami and Juneau and teach 2 workshops on the same trip. And
it wasn't for teaching a workshop, but I'd be happy to go and teach a workshop at your place.
Well, then
I was just going to come and visit the Miami garage.
Well, we got to plan it in January or February because it's so warm and beautiful and sunny here right now. I'm not trying to rub it in or anything. I know like right now you're in the cold,
but that sounds like a good plan.
But yeah, come over, come in the winter.
Next year, I'm not going to be here in January.
You'll be on the beach in your flip flops and sunbathing in the middle of winter. Yeah. So
you've already sold it to me. I'm coming.
All right. Well, on that note, let's stay in touch, Isabella. I really enjoyed this, and I'm so thankful. I can't wait to publish this and have everyone have a chance to hear you.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I wish you I wish you good luck, and I'm excited. I feel really happy thinking about you and your mom practicing together. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Keep your fingers crossed for her.
I will.
That she stays healthy.
I will. All right. Thank you, Isabella. Have a good one.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Native Yoga Toddcast is produced by myself. The theme music is dreamed up by Bryce Allen. If you like this show, let me know. If there's room for improvement, I want to hear that too. We are curious to know what you think and what you want more of, what I can improve. And if you have ideas for future guests or topics, please send us your thoughts to info@Native Yoga Center. You can find us at nativeyogacenter.com. And hey, if you did like this episode, share it with your friends, rate it and review, and join us next time.